Fenric came out after Rick late at night, after he left the village. He did not understand himself, how he could rely on a small creature who was not even a human being, just a small monster who did not speak, to do such foolishness. And even in the forbidden forest itself. As for Rick, he paid no attention to his thoughts, preoccupied with his task of guiding the way. He was flying a little lower in the lead, turning every now and then to make sure Fenric was still following him. If he noticed that his steps slowed down a little while he was carefully inspecting the place, Rick quickly returned to standing on his shoulder and pressing him with his beak as if scolding him. Hurry! Fenric kept walking behind him gingerly, his eyes scanning the forest. The place that Rick was tapping on the map with his beak was nothing but a side road leading from Vanessa's village to the forbidden forest. Is it possible that Presepe had also taken this route when he last met her there? But unlike what the monsters did with Presepe, they were never friendly with Fenric. Even though Rick was with him, he faced quite a few monsters. Fortunately, no giant monster like the one that attacked the village appeared, otherwise he wouldn't have been able to confront it alone. Just like it's happening now. Fenric quickly drew his sword as he walked behind Rick, then easily finished off a gargoyle that tried to snap his neck. He shook his blood-stained sword as usual, causing the drops to scatter. Rick came back to stand next to him, tapping his shoulder urgently. Let's go. Fenric furrowed his eyebrows for a moment, then laughed lightly, as if it was ridiculous. I never noticed before. He raised his hand and gently patted Rick's head with his fingers, whispering, but you look like Presepe. Small body, a little skinny. The eyes suddenly widened when looking at him. Even the sound of her voice urging him to hurry reminded him exactly of her tone when she called him. That feeling that she would leave him alone if he didn't follow her, but at the same time she looked back and looked back. Jack. As if he understood that it was a compliment, Rick let out a short, pleased sound. Let's keep going. Fenric muttered, looking at him. The night is not on our side. And since I trusted you until you got here, I have no other choice. Rick flapped his wings and flew again, continuing his guidance. But where does he want to lead him? Fenric did not find the answer until after a long walk. It was a place he knew well. East Lake in the Forbidden Forest. But nothing special appeared before him. No monster showed up, which was good, but neither did Presepe. On the banks of the lake was only Fenric alone. Is this the destination? He asked in a low voice as he turned to Rick sitting on his shoulder. The bird extended its beak and touched his cheek lightly, as if consoling him and saying, well done, you have arrived. Then suddenly, he soared high into the misty sky, unlike what he had been doing all the way. It would fly away, but would turn back again and again. Is he asked to wait? If he had wanted him to follow him, he wouldn't have left him alone. Although it seemed crazy, Fenric decided to give in to his intuition. As he did when he left the camp alone, relying only on this little bird until he led him here. The night by the lake was eerily quiet. All that was heard was the whistle of the wind, and the howl of a distant beast deep in the forest. Fenric stood alone in front of the water, looking at his reflection in the surface of the lake. When was the last time he saw himself so clearly? Since Precipice's kidnapping, he has only known Vidar to be chased madly into the forest. He didn't give himself a moment to catch his breath. And now, his reflected face seemed strange to him. He was never smiling. His features were dead, as if they were the face of a cold, lifeless corpse. As he was before he met Presepe. His red eyes, which were staring at the reflection of his face on the surface of the water, were filled with the dim light of the full moon reflecting on the surface of the lake. Slowly Fenric raised his head. Then he looked up at the full moon that was filling the mist-covered night sky. In Itloya the full moon was an inauspicious symbol. In the past, as it is now. Unlike the sun, which illuminates, warms, and protects everything in this world, the moon was said to enchant and unsettle hearts, and to bring out non-human and cursed creatures to crowd into the world of the living. Therefore, it is considered an indisputable bad omen. So, there was no one in Atloya who liked the nights when the full moon shone. But Fenric, even now, still loved the full moon. Because all his days with Presepe were under the light of the full moon. May I help you? Yes, that day you made your debut. If you kill them all, so that she has no choice but me, then it will work, right? The day I made that decision. Rest assured, sleep whenever you want, and rest whenever you want. I brought you here for that. The day I finally succeeded in getting you out of the imperial palace, and brought you to the palace with me. A girl born on a full moon night will betray her roots, and live in the most glamorous, most oppressed place of the empire. And until the day you were born, the moon was full. While the people of Atloya were growing anxious and fearful under the light of the full moon, Fenric was cultivating something else. For the first time in his life, he was dreaming, setting a goal, and creating hope for himself. But just as the moon disappears at daybreak, Presepe was always out of his reach, bringing him nothing but insatiable longing. So far that has not changed. Yes, so there's no escape, right? To commit these foolish things, and take risks every time. Fenric smiled a faint smile that did not look like him. And that was exactly when the sound of movement coming from afar rang out. On a quick instinct, he drew his sword, peering warily into the foggy front. Only moments passed until Rick, thanks so much, she appeared with hasty steps, heading towards the bank of the lake, Presepe. Miss Presepe. Fenric's voice trembled slightly as he said her name. As for Presepe, she also seemed stunned, as if she could hardly believe her eyes and did not who she saw in front of her. Chick. At that moment, Rick flew from Precipice's shoulder to rest on top of Fenric's shoulder. Duke Fenric. It was this bird that showed me the way. Rick? I didn't know his name to thank him properly, but now I do. Rick. As soon as he heard his name, Rick let out a satisfied chirp. His name is very close to mine. Ah, that's because, is it just a coincidence? She only looked at him shyly, and her face grew redder. I miss you. He said it in a low voice as he continued speaking. I missed you so much, that I wanted, at least, to say your name as I wished. That's why I chose that name for him. Rick. This time it was Fenric who was unable to answer. He just stared at her, his red eyes growing brighter, while she looked back at him. Come closer to me, Miss Presepe. Fenric muttered under his breath. By my side. Fenric's red eyes, staring at her, were no different from the last time she saw her. They are still warm, compassionate, and companionable. But Miss Presepe, his pleading voice made her bite her lip hard. Then she walked towards him with hasty steps, until she stood in front of him. At the same moment, Fenric put his arms around her, as if all his patience was nothing but preparation for this moment. In his embrace, Presepe in turn extended her hands to embrace him. She heard his strong heartbeat, and his whispering as he repeated her name in her ear. In his embrace, nothing had changed, the warmth still contained her. All because of that hug alone. But she quickly moved her arms away from him. Then she looked up at him with clear eyes, and was overwhelmed by various feelings. Duke. I have many questions I would like to ask, she said with dry, trembling lips. But no matter how many, they all lead to only one path. And what is it? If, as I heard from your conversation with Vidar, you knew everything from the beginning. Tell me. And if you had his permission to approach me. Does this mean? Was every moment between us sincere? Was I really different from everyone else? Was it just your heart? Or did you, like the others, just want to tie me up and lock me up?